Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NoSpudz Podcast. I'm your host, Wilsey Wilden. No, we're going to start that again.
The first thing the auction off is...
First thing on auction today, yeah.
It's the lamp in the corner.
It's the lamp in the corner,
Let's go for two, let's go.
So, yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. Mike. Hold tight. Yes, are we ready, so boys, when we do this?
Yeah, we're ready, William.
1, 2, 3...
Welcome to NoSpudz.
Of course, you can't fucking ever get it right. Lads, 1, 2, 3, welcome
to the NoSpudz Podcast.
Welcome to the NoSpudz Podcast. I am your host, Wilsey, and of course, I am joined by the two elite hosts and co-hosts of the show. I have Theo to my left, and of course, Johnny, honestly, you couldn't spit a minute of truth, is here also. He's also here across from us.
Oh, my back, that knife.
It's great. Welcome to Stab City, where you can get jabbed quickly. Okay.
Don't hurt me, please.
So
no, we can talk about Stab City because we are from the city.
We are?
Yeah, I think, boys, we're going to have to start getting green lights and red lights. So when we're talking, like, you know...
Yeah, you's talking, then I talking, then Thomas talks and whatever.
No, because that's too predictable, but we'll give each other a little bit of space. Okay. Welcome. This is episode 3. I am delighted to be able to say that. Of course, it is always good to be joined with the boys and bringing you these like little worldly topics and, of course, things that are close to our heart. This is the premise of the show. So, boys, before we get down into the nitty-gritty, because we always start these things, always, and the last two times we've started these things very kind of downwards. So let's flip the script. Let's see what we can do. Tom.
Bringing a bit of positivity into the moment.
Have you should be positivity.
Positivity
So you can go.
Very good. Very good for you.
Positive mental attitude.
Take it on.
Yes,
I like it.
Like you're doing a little bit of yoga. So this show, of course, we want to talk about
A bit of kind of traveller, kind of, well, I'll put this, Joe, kind of the positive side to being a traveller. Because you hear so much of the negative side, so why not talk about the positive side?
And that is a great topic to be bringing up, of course, because 2/3 of the hosts on the show originate from the travelling community. It's only right that we hopefully intend to educate and to bring a little bit of life experiences. So people that may not always understand where we come from or what we do in life may be able to, maybe grasp their own opinion. Please go through our experiences or you know what I mean, or all bit of talking, like, you know what I mean, like, what are we talking, like, you know.
The way we talk and the way we carry on is two different things.
So, one of the most beautiful things that I found recently over the last couple of years and engagement in the travelling community, I think especially, was the programme in which the GAF really went out of their way to organise last year, and I was lucky to be on that panel as well with them.
To be part of it.
and of course, yeah. So having done that, man, and the whole celebration and the whole facilitation exercise or the workshops was titled Guten in Kerry, and it was basically, for those who don't know, a 6-month facilitation workshop in the modes of creativity and well-being. And these could be in many different aspects. So I think some of the outsets of the workshops that we had was reed making, facilitation, art, shellac nails. There was an abundance of things that we actually got down to last year, and I'm so happy to be able to have done that, because it has given me a broader understanding about what it means to be a traveller, but where to find the beauty in being a traveller as well. And I think some of the things that we stumbled across last year was, although death is kind of like a predominant thing in the travelling community, unfortunately. Yeah. It is a thing that is commemorated, and it is something like, your memory is never forgotten, especially in the travelling community. And there's a very religious, there's a very religious and authentic vibe in that as well, and I think
ritualistic, isn't it?
Yeah. It's ritualistic, and then obviously outside of that, then just to see how they came together to make them pieces, seeing their approach to the pieces and their commemoration and their memorials. And if you want to go on to my socials or the GAF Limerick City's socials, you'll be able to see kind of like the pictures of their art and stuff. But man, it was just an amazing, amazing time,
It was an amazing experience. I never thought like we'd ever see anything like that actually happen in our lifetime.
No.
Like, it was a surprise to me. Like when you brought it up to me about the MVP.
Music visual performance.
when you brought that up to me and stuff like that, I was a bit hesitant at first. I was like, nah, I wouldn't be interested in that. But then once you kind of got in there and kind of met everyone and stuff like that, and like everyone was kind of humble, everyone was kind of ready there to learn and things like that, it kind of took the pressure off, and it was like, yeah, let's do this, so let's see how far we can work this out, like what can we do with this, where can we go with it and stuff like that. And what I found was like, it's a great way for being a traveller, like you for a long time, like you holding all your emotions and stuff like that. And I found that this course like gave me a way to kind of to get a lot of the worry and stress and kind of stuff that I've been through off my chest. Do you know what I mean? And I never thought I'd have a voice like that to do that with.
And which is incredibly, it's kind of like, especially for men in the travelling community, to be able to kind of tap into their emotion like that and to be able to put it through a mode of creativity is kind of a thing that's not really commonly known. And so when you do that and people kind of grasp that, there's an element of understanding that comes from that. And I think some of the best things that can happen in life is if someone explains something to you, your ignorance is gone from it because you have an empathetic approach to it. And especially last year, coming from the travelling community sometimes, and it even happens to me, man, when I get gigs or I have to go to places and do certain performances, it's kind of like I get social
anxiety.
Yeah, it's like social anxiety or what's that, imposter syndrome kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a feeling comes over you.
Yeah, and it's like, am I going to get stopped when I go into this building? Am I going to be able to continue on? Is people going to look at me any different?
Because you're stigmatized.
You feel out of place. You feel out of place when we're in places like that because we're so used to being not accepted. When we're actually in places like that, we're looking around like meerkats. What's going on?
Yeah. When the guards going to come and take us out. But the beauty about it is, man, and especially over the last couple of years, there has been an immense amount of appreciation towards the travelling community. Yeah. And thankfully, people like the Arts Council and stuff have now kind of like, taken a step towards maybe having our traveller artist specific grants and other things like that, which is an absolutely incredible thing because due to last year, man, and being able to see like people like yourself, Tom, people like people that were just facilitated throughout the Learning Hub and people that were interacting with the GAF and a lot of the women that were doing the arts projects and the program there, they were like weekly attending and everything like that, man. So everyone contributed, but people were contributing because people wanted their stories to be told and their kind of views and, to be included into something because for generations and hundreds of years, society has kind of disincluded them. And not all of society, just certain elements that kind of hold power, So I think to be able to see the creativity, to see the well-being, to see the happiness, to see all these things come together, to me was an absolute beautiful thing. And to obviously hear the stories because unfortunately, we don't have a history book that is taught within the education system here in Ireland.
About our traveller culture, they talk where we come from and stuff like that. There's none of that stuff.
And the years that we spent like being a nomadic tribe and the importance, like we touched on it the last episode, especially when Sean was here, we were talking about like, the Irish fighting for 800 years and things like that. But what is not noted, but it is actually the truth, is when the Irish were fighting against anyone in particular, because travellers were well known for forging iron and working with steel and tin and everything like that.
Hands mostly, yeah.
They were the predominant weapons makers. So on the battlefield, there would be like little stations where they would be recreating weapons like industrialised fashion. Yeah. And I think all of that, man, is beautiful because it's just a part of who we are, and I think unfortunately it's overlooked. So to be able,
a lot of us don't even get to see that. Like we don't even know that's even like our past. We don't even know like that. That's exactly what happened in the past for us. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We came from a lot of kind of hard working, strong men in a lot of ways. Like, cause like they went out there, they worked hard. Like they made up their own kind of craft and started selling their own craft and stuff like that. And now everyone today like use pots and pans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like not a lot of people know. Like I didn't know for a long time. Like that we they basically like mastered the craft of making pots and pans for people and stuff like that. Or even the stuff about one time we were inside the short film thing about the women's hair.
Hair
and stuff like that. It was like
women's hair
taking a part of you was taken away and stuff like that. Or the that kind of, what was that belt thing? Remember we want to hand over
The badges.
The badges.
The badges and the patches and all that. Yeah,
you go,
yeah.
like you say, if they went off travelling and things like that, and they met another group of travellers, they'll have the conversation, to get to know each other, and they'll probably swap kind of pendants and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll bring that on, but they'll never ever give it away for free. Like, if
No,
they're giving
and
you
I
something,
think
it's a trade.
Yeah,
in a way.
and I think them kind of stories, man, are that's
That's what travelling really is.
That's what travelling really is, and I think the core of all of that, and the beauty and the element of how important we were in society back in those days, I think that unfortunately has not been included, and so therefore we don't feel that sense of pride that we really should. But I want to give a massive shout out to Thomas McCarthy, because Thomas is the one that is really helping me now to gauge and understand all of the history of the travellers. And God bless the man, he's like a walking archive for traveller history, and he's involved in a lot of stuff. And luckily enough, we actually have him coming to Limerick on the 27th of April, and I know I'm against ever plugging anything kind of business wise here, but that man is coming to the commercial, and I would love if people will come down, because it is probably a once in a lifetime thing to be able to experience the stories that he does tell, and it'll give you a different understanding, and if not, it'll be a good night.
It's something you won't want to miss.
Yeah, and
won't.
so like if we just go back a small bit to the value of the course, and of course the beauty of it, because I don't know how we end up going there, but we always go to the kind of the more emotive sides.
Yeah.
The beauty of last year, man, was the accumulation then of all of them, like all the Gutman Carey stuff, all of the people that came, and the facilitation, like all the people, all the mentees that came, and all of their work to be able to be on release, the different days for different things, and every person that was there was valued at the same thing, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because the level of respect that was held in that room.
They got to show like what they were good at, and like what they wouldn't normally show people. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so that was probably a very high nervous day for a lot of those girls there, and a lot of the men there. You could see, like, in the day when we were there for the 3 days, and throughout the 3 days and stuff like that, you could see the passion and the emotion behind everyone, like that took part in this thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was brilliant.
Because I think the unfortunate part is when we organise these courses and we do these kind of things, and I can understand it that there's a certain amount of money that's allocated for these things, but like, to have something where they can showcase what they've been doing, I think that was the element. And throughout that, man, I garnished a new understanding of what the beauty of it is. And and
like, we actually got to learn a bit about our own culture by doing this, doing it as well. Do you know what I mean? So that was the good part about it as well, because a lot of the stuff that I know now, I didn't know about the likes of traveller kind of rituals and stuff like that. I didn't know a lot of it until like we started doing all this the course and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's good to find out like where you're actually from, what you actually like what your descendants actually did and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's all about who you are. That's the only way. Like, you'll never be happy about who you are until you find out who you are.
Yeah, and ironically, if you think about how the generations of life has came in, so primarily a tinsmith or a tinker, for the want of an occupation title and not in a discriminative title, is
we got to see it there.
Like, people were in need of a tinsmith before modernisation came in, where plastic utilities were more of a safer thing and more of a safer outlet and things like that. But it just goes to show you, now people are going back to tin straws and tin this and tin containers and stuff, that way of life has proven the test of time. And the fact that we're here today, and many other travellers, as you said, when we were in that lawn, they're having the barrel top wagons, the tinsmiths, the storytellers, the story keepers. It's just,
That was beautiful. Beautiful.
It makes you kind of
to see kind of talking about your heritage and stuff, and do you know, like, from a person that doesn't come from your background.
Yeah.
Looking in, and when you speak, like, do you know, like, it's fascinating. From, do you know, the way the love and the passion is about.
Yeah.
Just from seeing you there, like, that's why I didn't say anything. I didn't want to interrupt, because I just wanted to listen more.
Thank you, bro.
Because we didn't, like, I grew up with travellers as well, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I would know bits and pieces, but I wouldn't know an awful lot, and I suppose it's very interesting and intriguing to hear about what you just
Like,
what
we
you
still-
just
we
spoke
still don't
about, you know.
we still don't know everything yet. Like, there's still a lot like we still have to learn about our culture and
Yeah.
stuff like that we still don't know. Like,
And I mean, the Trav Fest for me as well last year, like I went to that when the
Yeah,
bell table,
yeah.
like it was just amazing, like because there were so many diverse people there as well, and they were
Yeah.
doing their performances, and it was great to see.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And this year now you'll have another one. Please
Trav
God.
Fest.
hopefully, yeah,
Travfest
hopefully.
2.0, and if we don't, we'll definitely have another
have
load
something going.
of facilitations, and it's not like a shameless plug, and I hope people don't interpret it like this. It's just what we want to do for the community in itself. I think it is very important that we don't overlook it, and of course being members of the community and in any sort of a place that we are right now, we'd like to always kind of like keep them in the back of our minds and always in our hearts and work towards it, because it is a culture that is unfortunately dying out, and if we can be the candle bearers or the flame holders for that to keep that flame any what way lit, we will. And of course, please, if you would like to get in touch and ask us any questions about our traveller heritage, or if you would like to shout out anyone or anything like that, feel free to drop us an old message. We are at NoSpudz Podcast on Instagram, at NoSpudz Podcast on Facebook, and NoSpudz Podcast at gmail.com if you want to send John a love letter. Because
Don't be shy. It's
Don't be
okay.
shy.
He loves it all.
He loves
the
it all.
attention.
He loves it all.
I do, yeah.
So, yeah, I think we will next... So, yeah, next topic. I'm feeling, seeing it as John has been a very good boy, did he?
He don't listen,
He don't have no one.
I know.
He
It's just
didn't
a
say
small
anything
thing I
about
wanted
it,
to
like, you know
touch
what I
on,
mean?
that's it.
Go on, John, go on, give it to
I
us.
suppose a lot of people have asked me recently about going back to education as a mature student.
Fuck, he brings in education straight after
Education.
the travellers.
Education.
After the whole traveller conversation, you bring in education.
Education.
Yeah, thanks.
The biggest downfall for
skip it. So
No, you're grand, John.
No,
We'd love to hear what you have to say
I
about back to
suppose
education.
it's just for people I want to reach out to that are in recovery, that want to kind of go down the path of helping other people. Like we all want to see the best for people and things like that. So I suppose going back to education isn't for everyone, I suppose, you know what I mean? It is what's the word I'm looking for now? Debilitating sometimes. You know, it's very kind of like you said there a while ago, imposter syndrome. When you go back to education, you're going into no college, you're going into no surroundings and things like that.
Feeling out of place.
But I just want to say, like, to anyone out there that's thinking about doing something like that, go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I went back to education in 2016. I was done the Minute addiction study course, and it was for 3 months, and it was the best thing I done. And then I went on to do the diploma in the UL. And I mean, like, if you're worried about funding and things like that, don't be, because all your funding is looked after.
So
Especially
when you
as
say,
a mature student.
Yeah, so that's okay as a mature student, but if we're going to get into the back to education side, and people are now looking to get into college, or they're looking to get back into education in any capacity, would you have any advice to them, or would you be able to give them a small brief, like step by step? Who do you go to? What do you do? That kind of a thing, or like, what was your process now going back into college?
Well, my
to be able
process
to gain
was
that?
I researched. I went onto the website.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about going back to education and you want to go to a particular college and you're saying, no, that place won't take me at all, don't have them thoughts in your head. They're all negative thoughts, and everyone has them naturally.
Yeah.
But just go onto the website and browse and make an inquiry, because there's always an email there about an inquiry.
Yeah.
And every college has a facilitation officer, and they'll come back to you and they'll ask you about your PPS and things like that.
all of that.
It's like, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know,
it
but
is.
I do understand that people are very kind of conscious about going back to education and nervous. But don't be nervous if you want to go back to education and you want to prove something to yourself, because that's what I done. I needed to prove it to myself. You know that
But that's the main
there's
thing.
a lot
I
of
think
things
you
there
have
to
to
help.
do for yourself.
You do, boys, but for me, I think, just to give people a small little bit of an insight into the back to education process. So, to be eligible for back to education, you need to be out of education through, I think it's either it could even be a year, as minimum as a year to, I think it's like 3 or 5 years that you have to be out of education to be eligible for back to education. It could even be 5, I think. But anyway, so that is another way that you can do it. You can also go online, or if you want, you can go into your local job seekers place and, of course, talk to them about going back into back to education, because not everyone is entitled to back to education, and everyone's circumstances are different. If you are looking to get into colleges, I would say please go to Citizens Voice or something like that,
or your local intro office,
or your local intro office, or reach out to us, because we've been through college, thank God, and we can give you a couple of more pointers in depth. But yeah, a little bit about the experiences, boys, because I know, Tom, you're after now. You're about to fucking you're about to finish your first year in college. So like
the years gone by so fast, man. It was ridiculous. Genuine, it's ridiculous. I don't even feel it.
So seeing as we're on the topic of being a traveller and of course education, one of the holes that I find in the whole system of being eligible enough to be able to apply for back to education and coming from the travelling community is that if you are a young lad from the travelling community and you left at 16 years of age, the likelihood is that you'd either have to wait till you're 23 to get back to education. I think there's or mature students. Sorry, I think that's what it is. I think
that's only for mature students, though.
Yeah. But
I think the age is 25.
Is it? Yeah,
25.
Yeah,
26,
but even 25. I think even 25 is kind of a far stretch. So I do know that you now have graduated. Well, you're on your way, please God, to graduate in your first year from college. And what was your kind of a journey to get back into education? And did you find it difficult to kind of, change it up? Or
see, I'm a kind of person where, like, I'm an outdoorsy kind of person. So, like, school and that environment is never really a place for me.
Yeah.
But I still kind of, like, I've learned a lot kind of... I learned a lot about the college experience because I did something that I was actually passionate about. And if you're going to college and you're learning about something and you're not really passionate about it, you don't really want to go there. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not going to be an environment for you. Like, do you know what I mean? But one thing I will say that I like the mostly about college is they give you a lot more freedom than like when you're in school. If you think college is anything like school, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Like the lecturers, they'll give you a brief, tell you this is what has to be done by this date. And like they don't bother you whatsoever about it. If you need help, obviously they'll give you help, whatever. They'll give you help and things like that.
Absolutely.
But other than that, like you have more freedom. It's more of a freedom-based kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's more. It's all about just the learning experience. Once I started, I do music, sound, and production. So once I kind of started off first, I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what am I doing here? I have no idea. But after kind of putting in a couple of hours, a bit of hard work and stuff like that, a bit of dedication and a bit of research and about like how to format music and stuff like that, I kind of fell in love with it. In a way, because now, like, I'm hearing, like, when I listen to, like, before when I listened to a song, you didn't really hear nothing. I just heard the beat, whatever. Now I'm hearing every little thing when it comes to the beat, like, and all these things are coming to my head. It's like a story automatically just comes to my head, and it's just madness.
I think that is the value of the education. I think that if there's anyone under 18, which we don't advise you to be listening to this podcast, but if you're sneakily listening to this podcast and you're we are going to get badly done with this thing. Sorry, that's a private joke. But anyway, if you are under 18 or if you are over 18 and you are thinking about all this stuff and you're just coming up out of school or secondary school or anything like that, just please know to just keep plugging away and get the leaving cert done and get the education done. I know school is a bit of a draw and everything like that, but your life begins after you finish it, and there's no better way to enter into education than to get your stuff. I've been educated in many different capacities in life, a lot of them negative, but I can't overly express the value of having an education, and people certainly fucking look at you different when you have an education. So whatever you want to do in life, whatever you want to chase, go get it, because Thomas, I as an uncle of Thomas's, I can just tell you that Thomas has been a person who has changed immensely, even in such a short time of a 9-month period and being on a course. I have seen him grow and I've seen him develop, and his life skills are changing and his social circles are changing. I never thought I'd ever do. Yeah, and you're performing like a beast, man. And to be able to see someone to come from like a little bit less of an exciting.
Yeah, I was a very
kind of
introvert
phase.
kind of
Yeah.
person. Like I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to kind of experience life in
Very
any
set
way
in his
whatsoever.
own ways, but
yeah,
it,
I didn't want to do nothing.
it is great to see even the value of something like a short course to be able to kind of
They changed that for me. Yeah.
to kick it all into
They put
play,
me
man.
yeah, that's what it did. It was like that was the push I needed to get going. And then even when I was down in Bruff that time with yourself and everyone else, like when I performed that first time, after that it was like a drug to me. I said, when is the next time? When is the next time?
Yeah.
When is the next time?
Yeah.
But funny enough, beforehand, like as you know yourself, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I had doubts in my head. I said, nah, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. But that's where the crutch is. You need to stop telling yourself you can't do something and just go out and do it. If you fail, you're not losing something. You're learning something.
Yeah,
All you have to do is incorporate that
Definitely,
into something different the next time. Is all you like learn from your mistakes. That's what they're there for. The lessons. You don't ever lose in life. You only win and you learn lessons.
And I suppose as well, you know, when you go back to education and you're in your class and things like that, you meet so many different people. Like we're here today now, right? Because I went back to educate. I'm doing the course the same as Willem. Do you know, you
Like
meet
we're
new friends.
that's what it is. We're used to being around people like ourselves. We're not used to being around different
like-minded
types of people.
That's the academic word for it.
Just for the record, I don't have a mind like him.
No, he's as worse.
Yeah, split mind.
yeah. But yeah, so listen, all of them colleges out there, or sorry, should I say all of you colleges out there, get in touch with us if you've got good programs, if you've got underage
Definitely.
programs and things like that. And of course, I can't overexpress this. Go away if you're listening and make a course specifically for the travellers, so that the travellers can get into fucking education.
Yeah.
Flag that, Tom.
Make a traveller flag, yeah.
So, boys, before we go into our final and closing topic, we normally do this at the end of the show, and I'd like to introduce it now. This is what have we seen this week in Limerick? Who is our person? What is our topic? What can we relate with? If you had to pick, who and what is it?
I think it's a lot of violence is happening a lot lately, and I think it really needs to stop. Like so recently, there a friend of mine, I know him like past 13 years. I used to live across the road from him and things like that. And there was an incident where he got hospitalised basically, and he's in critical condition and stuff like that. And he's a traveller himself, and like is kind of sick of seeing the violence on violence. You know what I mean? It's time to kind of start accepting everyone and start like showing the love and start actually get to know people and stop being ignorant to people. Do you know what I mean? Like not everyone is going to have the same like view that you have, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Like do you know what I mean? It's okay to have different views, but at least get along with each other.
Yeah, and if you can't get along, just move on. You know
Yeah,
that,
move
you know,
along,
that's it.
just mind your own business.
Good
Keep
to
them
say
out
it,
short,
move
isn't
along,
it?
man. That's
move
it.
along, yeah, because at the end of the day, man, life is so precious, and I can't overexpress
Be over in
that.
a second, and we know that too well. Like we in the one thing in traveller families, like we lose a lot of family members, and that is the worst part about being a traveller. But we have so much other like family still here.
Yeah.
So we need to love them while we can love them.
Yeah, and of course, and but also, man, and it's good to be able to ask people, like, you know, we want and we need and stuff, but we also got to be able to understand settled people. We also got to be able to understand travelling people. We need to be able to coincide with each other in society.
It has to go both ways.
John, that's actually a really good topic, Thomas. That's actually a really good topic, and yeah. We're going to carry that flame forward, yeah.
I think what kind of disheartened me this week was the eviction ban for people that are in rented accommodation, and the eviction ban, and the councillors, the local TDs here in Limerick. I mean, like, all of them signed it except Maurice Quillivan. You know, and Maurice Quillivan's with Sinn Féin, and I don't show any parties like that because I'm not political minded. I used to be a long time ago, but I'm not now. But I just feel it's very disheartening for the people in Limerick, especially because I know actual people that are really trying to just do their best, that are working, that are trying to get on the ladder, like, you know what I mean? That are just want a break. as well, like, what's the country coming to? Like, we're living in a dictatorship here.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, simple.
Take care of the middle and upper classes before they take care of the lower classes.
Yeah, like I seen an article the other day, and it said something like this business was entering into Limerick City, and it was going to make, I think, an excess of 1 billion donation towards an industrial estate. I think that as good as the Irish government is in the lines of orchestrating like businesses to come here and organisations to come here and to bring in like different things. So like I do know that Ireland is probably one of the most highest transporters of medical devices in the world, and people rely heavily on us. I know that there is a lot of food testing and things done in this country as well, and for them kind of companies I don't really mind, but still at the end of the day, because they're such how am I going to say it?
Taking away from the homegrown stuff, like that's what it is.
But also it's because these companies, like if you look at the whole Apple scandal back in the day, and Apple getting the tax break and stuff like that, that to me was kind of like a red flag, because it was like, okay, if I go to work for 40 hours a week and I have to pay maybe a 23% tax on the money that I earn, which is pennies in comparison to what these global organisations are working on a weekly income, and they get a tax break that's maybe 5% or 10%. It's an absolutely incredible letdown, and so I do understand that Ireland is kind of in a place where they do look after more the upper echelon of clientele that comes into Ireland, and I do know, like in the essence of the housing acts and stuff like that, that it is good that the eviction ban has been sustained in Ireland now, because I do think that a lot of people may be selling up to, or maybe trying to get on a money bandwagon because of people's unfortunate circumstances from different parts of the world. Yeah. And I think that that's why there might be a little bit of a push in that direction, is because I do know that hotels are making an incredibly high amount of money for letting the same thing occur. And in certain aspects I do understand it and I appreciate it, and the other part, I don't know, it gets a little bit mucky for me, but yeah, so that's a real good topic, brother, and I suppose it kind of rolls into the topic that I was thinking of, and this is about artists.
What's your topic? Go on, tell me.
Come on,
tell me. What's your topic?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Are you ready? On this week's show, Willsy's topic.
And on today's show, I just like to talk. No, I'm only messing. So yeah, it kind of rolls into the whole thing of, boys, Arthur's Quay. I see that Arthur's Quay is for sale for 15 million.
That's madness, man.
And it is crazy to think of the potential that it has, because if you look at an apartment in comparison that's for sale in the city, you're going to get a maximum price. This is a retail outlet centre that has multi-functioning or multi-level car parking systems. It has many different outlets inside and outside adjoining the whole building, and it's funny to me that it is now being it's now being put on sale at the same time that certain universities are moving into the town, certain planned developments for student accommodation is now arising. Bang slap in the middle between both developments is now Arthur's Quay.
It's like they're making the whole of Limerick City into a student village
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're modernising the city in a big way, and we're looking to kind of like get to the 2030 vision. Is that what they're aiming towards?
They're trying to get the place, but we can't even reach it.
But how are you going to get to homeless people outside the door unless you start housing them? And
exactly.
that to me is not taking the look off the city, because I hate when people say, man, they take the look off the city, don't they? It's not. It's the realisation of the city. And I know some people that do get entitlements maybe to rent or certain things are going through addiction, and maybe they blow it in their own capacity.
I say some people must think like homeless people want to be homeless, like.
Yeah, that's the stigma of it, then. Like,
that's what it is.
Do you know, like these homeless people aren't walking around saying, look at me, I want to be homeless.
Yeah,
no person on the streets.
No one wants to see you homeless.
Wants to be cold.
But homelessness in Ireland has many different degrees, and I think if you're genuinely homeless, and when I mean genuinely homeless, I mean seeking a home, working your fucking bollocks off to try and get a house,
and
you have no family members,
on the couch or something like that.
Then, my friend, I totally understand it. But if you're getting a rent supplement or something like that, and you're drinking it every week and things, then there's a different kind of approach or a different kind of light to be shed on that situation.
Yeah.
And so I do understand that there's different levels of homelessness, but my whole thing is that you can sell a house in the town for an inflated margin of fucking God only knows what, and yet such an outlet centre has been on sale for to a retail development or a global organisation for pennies. For pennies.
Would you not think Tesco's will buy it because Tesco's is in there as well?
Nah.
I don't. Something tells me that I don't think the retail side of it will fully go, but I do think that a vast margin of it will, or vast majority of it, will be used to be housing or accommodation for students.
Yeah.
I find it hard to see why they're overlooking other people. You know, there's multiple developments that are happening around the town, especially another one out in the Ballysimon Road, a massive development for student accommodation.
There you go. It's literally like they're making Limerick into a student village. That's what it's like.
Yeah, man. And I welcome all the students. I am a student in different capacities. But what I mean is,
there's other things there that needs to be done as well. Like, it's not just about the students. Like, at the end of the day, like, how many people are going to college?
Yeah, but if organisations and businesses and universities are paying for student accommodation, that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
Right.
But then give a margin of a percentage towards homelessness. Make a contribution towards getting a helicopter to go out into rural parts of Ireland to be able to take people off the Aran Islands and get them into hospitals as fast as possible. Make substantial donations to that, and then
definitely.
That's okay. But if you're going to be just building greedy men or women or them whatever the fuck.
But this is what it's all boils down to, Willem. It's all greed.
Yeah, it's
all building, all fat cats, all getting rich from the lesser people.
Yeah.
From the homeless, the hard working people, the Joe Soaps of the country that are paying their taxes every single week. That's what they're.
And they get no tax breaks.
No, but that's exactly what I was hitting on, boys. That like
the hard working people get no tax breaks, and the people in there that literally does fuck all gets the best tax breaks.
Facts.
Sure, look at the bailout then as well. Like, do you know what I mean? The bailout that was paid back by the Irish taxpayer. The hard, genuine working person.
Listen, man, we pay for everything. It's even the roads, even the tolls and everything like that. The toll bridges are like we're meant to be there just to fix the roads, but yet they're still there.
But they're paid for themselves within a year.
Know what it's in? Yeah, they pay for themselves. And Joe, if you don't pay for the toll, oh Jesus, they come after you.
Fine.
Or they come after you like you committed murder or something.
Whew, that was some serious, heavy level stuff right there. I mean, to tell you, like. We could go on and on and on and on, but the aim of the whole thing is not to complain, it's only to enlighten people. Boys and girls, we're going to cut this episode very short today, unless the rest of the boys have any other topics on the list for them today.
No, I don't have anything burning.
I don't want to waste all the topics yet.
I would like to ask one person who we actually haven't asked his opinion of just yet. Dom, would you like to come in and tell us something that's burning in your heart about Limerick? Or do you know what? We'd love to hear you for a couple of minutes if you have time.
Go on,
Tommy.
Them beast themselves. But Jesus, the man is coming in.
The one you want to give him your...
Because my back is killing me.
Me? Sit down there, mate. Sit down.
Yeah, well, boy, Dom.
Sit down. We have a conversation with the man himself. The man behind the mirror.
You're going to regret this.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the phantom of the whole podcast. He works very hard behind the scenes. Dominic Chapell, or Chapel should I really call you. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, yeah. Very good. It's weird being in this room.
yeah.
It's completely different, Brian.
It is very different, yeah. But
so, Dom, just for the people that might be listening, where are we?
We are in the Music Hub, which is in the Learning Hub, which is in the north side of Limerick City.
Hub.
Clearly Tom again.
Tell us a small bit about you, Dom. What brought you into the whole, sound engineer and stuff, and how has it been working in that field for you?
It's been great. I love all that kind of crack. First thing, I got into it with 2 tape recorders. A friend of mine showed me you can multi-track by recording onto one tape.
Lovely.
And then play along with that tape while recording onto a second tape. And then you play it back onto the first one. And then you got multi-track recording. It sounds like dirt, but it's good crack, like.
And would you have been able to record in vocals as well?
Probably separately.
You can do anything. Like, you record anything if you have a microphone. But
yeah.
It's only secondary to the performances, but a good performance could be ruined by a bad sound.
Yeah, it can.
But a great a terrible performance won't be saved.
No. If you're rubbish, you're rubbish.
Did a Mythbusters episode about that. It turns out you can polish a turd. but it is still a turd.
Yeah.
It's a shiny.
Yeah, it's a shiny one. So have you spent a little bit of time then in bands, or has it just been kind of like the production side of things?
I've done a bit of playing around. Played bass in a band with a singer-songwriter, and we had a band sometimes, and that was an education.
Lovely.
Gigging all random places around the country, often to only one or two, or even none people. Sometimes there was loads there. And,
it's a tough old field, man, isn't it? Especially when you're earning your stripes in the music. Like I remember, man, being so excited, like early in the career, and like running into this place and be like, I'm gonna kill this fucking performance, and no one there. Not even a bartender wanted to be there, and I was like, listen to me. But anyway,
I think that's your defining moment. It shows like do you really want this? Even though there's only about probably 5 people here, do you really want this?
The show has to go on, man.
The show has to go on.
Oh, boys, I'll tell you one. Right, I was doing this performance one time, and I was kind of heated, and there was this young fella there, and he was able to do a little bit of rap, and I was able to do a little bit of rap, and then he got up, he done his rap, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill him. So it was all in my head and everything like that. And I got up in front of this crowd. One night there was actually a crowd, and we got up, and I was like, and I couldn't talk. I just couldn't talk. Stage fright, man.
What are words again?
Yeah, the one and only time that it ever happened me by, and it was the most mortifying feeling. But I was lucky enough.
Bill's character.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that there was a mate of mine that was there at the time, and he was like, bro, if you don't get back up on that stage, you never will. And I was like, I'm getting back up there. And he's like, I know your words. If I have to fucking roar them at you in the crowd, you're getting back up there. And I'm like, okay. So I think that, man.
It's nice to have someone like that around you that just actually motivate you and actually put you up there instead of putting you down. Like.
Yeah. I think that's a very important part. And of course, speaking about motivating people, Tom, you do a lot of community work as well, and you work here at the Hub. I've had the joy of being able to kind of work with you and learn from you at the same time. Has that always kind of been a burning passion for you, or?
Well, I was lucky enough to find this place, or this place kind of found me, and I was here on a CE scheme, a community employment scheme, for a year, and then kind of worked my way up.
Yeah.
Elbowed my way
Once you
in.
got the taste for it, there was no going away.
Exactly. Like when we have the kind of the community side, the lesson sides, and I love having that as well as the studio, and doing things like this, or musicians or singers and rehearsals, but having kids in here every day or most days is brilliant as well. It keeps it real.
This place is very important. Growing up, I used this place as a playground for me. Like when I was growing up, so this place is very important to this community around here as well.
So that's what went wrong with you. I was trying to map it out. I was saying to myself, where in life did it all go wrong? Because when you came to the Hub, now when you mentioned shout out the Hub every time.
The Hub screwed me up.
There's a bit of magic here, all right, and it's coming up and up all the time.
I think it's a family here, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a family here. That's what makes it special.
There's a different essence. I don't know. It's like a different feel when you come in through the gates, and
you're welcome.
One of the things that we were touching on, especially last time on the last episode with Sean, was like the element of everyone kind of gets along. And Paul, I shout out to Paul as well, and James, and everyone that works here. It's an incredible place to be able to come.
And Nora, don't forget Nora, your old sister, don't forget.
There's always one. Sorry, Nora.
The secret CEO.
I love you. We're going to cut this out in the edit anyway. No, listen, I'll leave it in. You're out, no nose inside. But, yeah, man, and it's just lovely because, if you look at it as we were talking about earlier, if you look at it in the capacity of being in school and stuff like that, school is, and shout out school, but school is kind of like a very conformed thing, is very like a structured thing. You do this and you do this and you do this.
You have to fit in this box. And
you abide by it. Whereas here is just like the freedom to be and the freedom to learn and the freedom to hone in on what you're good at.
And what you're into as well. Like school is like, here's all the stuff you're going to have to know. Shut up while we pour it into you like an empty vessel,
And I actually teach you anything.
Yeah, whereas here we can have a bit of that is vital as well, but we have we have a much higher ratio of staff to kids as well, and we're not knocking we're the kind of the conventional education entirely. We're kind of big part of our mission is to back up the schools that are around. But at the same time,
I find that as well, because I know exactly what you're about to say, is like the way like each kid kind of has a teacher in a way, so they're kind of learning from them.
Yeah, but
Like, 'cause
also
I
they're
found
kind of
that,
like what do you want to do rather than like here's what you have to do.
Not every kid is going to learn the same. So
Exactly,
like it is nice to have this here for kids to come in and have that here. And, like,
in that learning capacity, but also like to be able to, as Tom was saying, to be able to do anything, to come in here and play a piano.
Freedom to fail.
I want to play the fiddle, play the fiddle. You want to learn how to play the drums off the wall? I wouldn't advise it because you're on the way to St. Joseph's. Whatever you want to do.
We've got a great art department here as well, and they're kind of doing.
Shout out, Mel.
Do you know, like the great quote from Einstein, I think it is, says imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get them to create stuff rather than just memorize and regurgitate.
Live in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, and actually come up with stuff. You have original thoughts because you know the kids they're hilarious when they're young. They don't have those inhibitions. They're full of ideas, and you kind of get that conditioned out of you over time.
Oh, you do, yeah. You get beating it out of you.
And primary and secondary schools, like that kind of system came in around the same time as industrialization. You're really training people to work in factories.
That's all it was
show up at the same time. Be quiet. Wear the same clothes.
Be disciplined.
Yeah.
To farm.
And that's not a coincidence. Like.
No, it's not. To unitedly farm.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of resembles a lot of the travelling community as well, in a sense, and I think that was the element of beauty as well, being able to come here with the workshops and stuff, and to be able to see that where people had the space to just be. And I think what you do here is absolutely incredible, and shout out Dom, of course, for coming on to the podcast. Now, bitches, listen to what fuck. Why do I always say I'm gonna get.
It's just in your nature.
Yeah.
You were talking about ditches.
I thought he went home, like,
ditches, not bitches.
Yeah. Okay.
Ditches.
Oh God. Okay.
It's been the NoSpudz Podcast.
I wanted to say thanks to people first, but anyway, right. So we'd like to say a very, very special thanks to Music Hub Studios as always, and of course the man, the myth, Dominic.
Ghost in the headphones.
I like that one, so we'll go again. Of course, we'd like to give a big massive thanks to the Hub Studio Music and to Dominic, the ghost behind the head. I fucked it up.
The ghost behind the headphones.
We'd like to give a big shout out to Music Hub Studios and of course Dominic, who's
the ghost behind the headphones.
Yeah, I got it right that time. Anyway, and I've been Wilsey.
Johnny Honesty.
It's Tommy Bay.
And it's been the NoSpudz Podcast.
I love you. Now go to door and don't come back.
Come here, I tell you, if you want to call us, right, it's 1890, knock.
There's nothing here for you.
Alright, I'll talk to you in a while. Hi, go on.
I'm not messing. Come back.
Christmas special coming soon. See you later.